Greetings and God's peace be with you. My name is Kristofer and I'm a priest at Saint Francis Episcopal Parish, and I'm also a member, a brother in the Order of Saint Francis. This is another edition of Ask a Friar, an opportunity for you all to ask questions, put things out to me, and give me an opportunity to think and pray and struggle with this, well, not only with your questions, but my own questions and the challenges of these times that we're in, and the opportunities for growth that we have with God as we rise up out of hardship and into freedom and liberation and love. Been pondering a lot over the last few weeks, questions that some of you have asked, no one specific one, but just what does it mean for us to follow Jesus in this way of Saint Francis? What does it mean to be Saint Francis Episcopal Parish? I don't have any definitive answer to that. In fact, my vote was not for us to be Saint Francis Episcopal Parish, not because I didn't think that it was an inspired idea, but because the person of Francis and the Franciscan spiritual movement is something that's so personal and central to me. And I just didn't want that to get in the way of our work together as a congregation and a community center. That said, you all had a lot more wisdom, and in that discernment process, we got clear that this is who we are. And so, what does it mean for us to be Saint Francis Episcopal Parish? That's a question we all have to answer for ourselves as individuals, but there is an important question of what that means, what it looks like collectively as part of this community. We reflect on that together. For me, when I put on this tunic, it helps me remember. It helps me just connect in a deeper way. As we put on the identity of Saint Francis Episcopal Parish, this new movement that God has in our lives, I wonder what that feels like to you, what you feel like in that skin. It's probably a little weird. It might feel comfortable and fresh and new, and it might just feel awkward, and you might have grief that comes up for you around that. Whatever that feeling is, just know that we're all on this journey together, and God is with us as we walk through it. I've been pondering for myself what it means to be a leader in this new congregation and to be a brother in the order, and what that looks like on a daily basis in this time when we're trying to find ways to stay connected and to worship together and to serve together. For those that heard my sermon this past week, you heard me share about the rise in homelessness that I'm seeing in my neighborhood and across Baltimore County. And our community center is deeply devoted to that work, particularly in support of families that are facing crises. But part of what we're seeing right now is that a lot of the funding streams that are coming into our county are heavily focused on those that are facing crises because of the pandemic. There isn't a lot of financial support for individuals and families that were in a crisis before that were already in hardship. And I have not come across anyone that was in a hardship before that's actually doing better because of the pandemic or on the other side of this experience that we're in now. And everyone is struggling in some way, shape, or form. So what does it look like for us as a community center and as a people of faith to support those that are most in need during this time? I wonder what that looks like in your life. We had our Pantry on the Go event last week, and there was food left over from that. Not a lot, but I was able to go in and pull out some apples and oranges and some sparkling water, and I went and bought some granola bars, and I just put together some care packages and went out to some of the areas where I've seen people living on the streets, living in the woods near our home, our house in the Catonsville area. And I did that on Monday, and it was an incredible experience to connect with people. Many of them I'd seen on runs or on walks or just driving to and from the grocery store or to come into the office. But seeing more and more people all the time and feeling powerless to be able to do anything about this. This was a small thing, but how I felt God working in those exchanges, even through the awkwardness of a mask, not knowing them and them not knowing me and not knowing what kind of precautions they felt like they needed to take. I had taken my daughter out to just do some fun stuff on Labor Day, and I had asked her, because I brought some snack out with me, and and she had 2 pieces of snack, and I really wanted one of them, and I asked her if she would share that with me, and she was willing to do it, but it was kind of hard, and I said, in my office, we can stop by there, and I can pick up some fruit snacks that I have in the drawer, and you can have some of those. Well, she was happy to give me the popcorn that I wanted, and after we were doing our thing together, I gave her the fruit snacks, and I ended up giving her 2 of them. And on our drive back that afternoon, we pulled up, and there was a man with a sign, and on all 4 of the intersections, there were multiple people out asking for help. And I looked back, and I saw Lillian had eaten her 1 pack of the fruit snacks, but because I'd given her 2, I said, "Hey, honey, would it be okay if I gave this person the fruit snacks?" And I was eating some nuts, mixed nuts and myself, and I wasn't sure if he would even want them, but I offered those to him, and when I asked if he wanted the fruit snacks, to see the joy on his face was profound. And through the window, my daughter could see that also, and she just lit up. She was like, "Did you see how happy he was about the fruit snacks?" And it was this amazing interaction. The 2 things that day of taking the gifts that we had as a congregation and as a community center that we were sharing, there were things left over, and from that, I could add in a little bit something more with the granola bars and give some people that I met a little bit more bread for their journey. And I could connect with them and and get to know them a little bit and hear a little bit more about their life. And then to have my child, who I learn a lot from, just exhibit for me what it means to be generous, to share, this reward that she'd gotten, to be willing to share that with another person, and to feel her joy in sharing that. All the things that we have in our life are gifts that come from God. We're all ultimately called not to ownership of these things, but to stewardship of them, to take the gifts that we've been given and find ways to share them. This past week, as we read the Bible together and do our daily reflections, I've spent a lot of time in Romans because I think we had 3 days in reading that. And I was just pondering Romans 8, which is one of the chapters that we were invited to look at together. And Paul writes, "I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory about to be revealed to us. For the creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the children of God. The sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory about to be revealed to us." That's quite a promise. As we ponder the suffering of this time, but as we also rise up out of that and ponder the glory that will be revealed to us. Even when we feel most weak, we're told by Paul that likewise the Spirit helps us in our weakness, for we do not know how to pray as we ought, but that very Spirit intercedes with sighs too deep for words. And God, who searches the heart, your heart and mine, knows what the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for the saints according to the will of God. And this perhaps might be my most favorite part of it. We know that all things work together for good for those who love God and were called according to his purpose. As we ponder the purpose in our lives, as we put on this new identity in Saint Francis, as we live into the Great Commandment and the Great Commission, yes, we have challenges that we're facing in our family, within ourselves, in our communities, in our nation and across the world. But this present suffering that we're experiencing is nothing when compared with the glory about to be revealed to us. God is at work in all these things. So may we choose to participate, to share the gifts that we've been given. May we choose to give our lives in loving service to Christ as God uses us to serve our people, to love our neighbor as ourselves, and to become the body of Christ for the body of Christ. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of this. And I pray that the Spirit continues to move in mighty and wonderful ways in your life. God's peace be with you.